Joining us now is Jonathan Sacerdoti, I-24 News UK correspondent in London. I want to ask Jonathan, these images, in any way, are they taking aback, British politicians and lawmakers, authorities in London? Were they surprised in any way, or shocked, or disheartened by the size of the crowds, the actions of the crowds, the words and slogans that were being chanted, or was this what they were expecting from this anti-Israel demonstration?
Most Britons expect this sort of thing because this is what happens every time there's any kind of military action on the part of Israel against terrorism or other forces in the region. I think it's become expected that thousands will take to the street. It wasn't just about Israel either. There have been similar large protests over the years, whether it was the war in Iraq or other engagements. I think what's different this time is the ferocity of the feeling about specifically Israel's actions in Gaza. And there's a very British attitude towards how this is being policed. There's been a bit of a controversy because the Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, has actually spoken out this time, this is the unusual part. She called these marches hate marches, which was very controversial. She wrote a piece in the Times newspaper last Thursday in which she said that they should be banned. She's been appealing to the police to ban them. The police have to apply to her to have them banned, and the police refused to do so, saying that they felt they could police this effectively. What happened, I think, this weekend is that it all reached a peak because today is Remembrance Sunday. Yesterday was Armistice Day. These are two of the most important days in the British calendar in the sense that that's when fallen soldiers are commemorated. We don't really have a July the 4th or anything like that in the UK, so this is perhaps the moment when Britons come together the most in quite a solemn, respectful moment to pay their respects to those fallen. And there was a worry that this really shouldn't happen at the same time. That's why she spoke out, she said, and also there are fears of anti-Semitism and the fact that many British Jewish people are absolutely afraid to go out on the streets of central London during these protests because they see the crowds as aggressive and threatening and intimidating. So the thing that I think we're seeing is this very British policing. The police say we can keep a lid on it as long as we keep the people against the Palestinian protests and the Palestinian protesters apart, as long as we keep them away from the cenotaph where the remembrance ceremony is going on, then we can police this and there won't be violence. But, that's like saying if Jews stay at home, there won't be violence, because that's what's actually happening at the moment. And I think that many people are actually behind Suella Braverman in what she said, but many are absolutely incensed that they feel she's poured fuel onto this fire.
What does all this mean, in your personal view, for the future of Jewry in the UK?
So we've had many times over the years, especially in recent years, when British Jews have been afraid, they've thought about their future in the country. Obviously, things are a bit different now, partly because of the massacre that happened in Israel. Israel has traditionally been seen by diaspora Jews around the world as a safe place to go when things get bad. But then Israel is exactly where the massacre took place. And so there's this problem, this tension in people's minds over whether anywhere is safe in the world for Jews at the moment. British Jews do have generally a very good day-to-day life here in the UK, but then moments like these make them wonder how easily that could change, how quickly it could change. I mean, it's no exaggeration to say that more than ever, I've had so many conversations with people about whether Jews should have a mezuzah on their door, which might make them stand out to people passing by, whether you can wear a Magen David or a kippah in the streets, or whether you might put yourself at great risk of some sort of attack. Certainly to go into one of those crowds in central London and express views that are different to theirs about what's going on in Israel, politically or even religiously, I think might be a risk to people. I've seen some fairly scary videos of people trying to do that around the world. So I think that, as ever, this is the eternal problem that Jews have to wrestle with in their minds. And there is always looming large that idea that in the past, many of our relatives left it too late to flee when anti-Semitism was around them. And of course, nobody wants to feel that over-exaggerating, but nobody wants to fall into that trap again.
Thank you so much for that analysis, Jonathan Sacerdoti, today in London.